Welcome back to the TWSN YouTube channel. A little bit of a new vibe for you guys today. We're bringing you our new baseball series called Walk Off Wednesdays. Obviously with me, Matt and Logan up here. We're just, breaking down some baseball content for you guys. That's really all it is. We know we need some more baseball coverage, and we're going to here to bring it for you guys in a little bit of a fun, unique kind of way. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So for our first episode today, we're just going to be kind of breaking down the divisions a little bit, taking a look at some of the early divisional races, some teams that are overperforming, some teams that are just flat out terrible. We're going to get to touch base on every team here a little bit in our first episode. So let's kind of start things off, and we're going to start over in the AL, everybody's favorite division. You got the Yankees, you got Toronto, Tampa Bay, Boston, you got Baltimore even down there. Baltimore's playing a little bit of good baseball. I'll give them the credit when we get there. But let's start in the AL East a little bit. Matt, why don't you give us a little breakdown of the AL East?
Yeah, so just want to say great to be here. We got our baseball show finally here. But let's talk some baseball here. And yeah, we got to start in arguably the best division in baseball. I mean, the Yankees are killing it. 49-17. They are just an absolute monster of a team right now. Pitching, hitting, everything is going right for them. I mean, they're running away with this division at this point. They have an 11-game lead on the next closest team.
Yeah.
They literally just went into Toronto and took 2 of 3 from the Blue Jays. I believe they have a series coming up with the Rays. So, I mean, they're establishing their dominance here. And it's been a sight to see, honestly, because, I thought the Yankees were going to be good this year, but I did not see this coming. I don't know about you guys, but this has just been pure dominance by New York. And I guess the Bronx Bombers are back. The Evil Empire is back. I mean, they have 7 losses at home this year.
It's been 9 of their last 10.
Crazy.
Ah.
Yeah, they're like 16-2 in June, and they had a huge lead against Toronto, and then they gave it up, and they almost won that game. So they just keep winning or losing very close games, and they just keep scoring.
Yeah, you kind of touch on it a little bit there with the whole Toronto team. I think obviously a lot of people had some high expectations for them, rightfully so. And let's not act like they're disappointing. They're 10 games above 500. There's also happened to be 11 games behind the Yankees. So
they had a slow start. That's the thing. They had a little kind of them and the Red Sox. Both of them had a slower start.
And Toronto's running into a little bit of the injury bug too. So we'll see how they play the deadline and everything, and we'll have episodes talking about the deadline in general. But just kind of back to the teams. That Yankees-Toronto game was wild the other day. We talked about Boston kind of having a really slow start. I'm going to talk too much about Baltimore. A few better days ahead for them. It is what it is. Nobody knows they're not winning the division this year. Well, there's better days ahead for Baltimore. But, I mean, just a team that always kind of just stays in there no matter what is this Tampa Bay Rays team, man. They're just always so consistent. They're always just right there. They're never going to go away. I don't know. The Rays haven't really had a slow start. They really haven't been hot too yet either. How are we feeling about this Rays team so far?
Yeah, I do. We talked about this. I don't know how they keep winning. I really don't. It's like they put a team of just guys that they call up or they just sign out of nowhere and they somehow win. It's honestly remarkable to watch year in, year out. They won 100 games last year. And this team didn't lose a beat. They just happened to be in the division with the Yankees, who are just world beaters right now.
Yeah, I mean, the team in 4th place, the Red Sox, are 5 games above 500.
This division is on steroids in a way. It's resembling what we all expect the AFC West to be come NFL season. And it's just with the Rays, man, you just don't know. You never know what's going to happen with them because they're either going to keep doing this or they're going to implode halfway through the season. It's going to be one of the two. I lean they keep doing this because they are very talented. Honestly, they really are.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of ask 2 questions about this division a little bit. We'll go VanDine first and then over to Matt. We talked about the Yankees. They are 49-17, 70, just under 75% win percentage. Absolutely unreal. To what level of a degree, is this what we're seeing from the Yankees? Is this sustainable in any way whatsoever? Are they really going to go on to finish with 120 wins or whatever they're on pace for? Do we really think this Yankee start is sustainable throughout the year?
Well, we see a lot of hot starts from the Yankees, and this one is unprecedented. But the thing about this Yankees team is, can they keep the sustained success into the postseason? Because they have such high expectations every single year, and they won 100+ games over the last few years, but they just can never get over the hump and get back and get to the World Series. I mean, this team I think is better than the teams that we saw since the last time they went to the World Series, 2009. This team should be in the World Series every year, but I think this is a totally different team for the Yankees. I think right now they have Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Josh Donaldson. They have and also a very good pitching staff. I mean, Jameson Taillon has been I think he's been exceeding expectations, and I think if he steps up, Severino stays healthy, Garrett Cole plays a lot better, pitches a lot better. I think the Yankees team is going to clinch #1 seed in the American League. But I'm still wondering if they're going to keep that success heading into the playoffs, and if they're going to get over the hump and win a World Series, or at least get to a World Series, because this team is expected to get to the World Series every single year.
That they are. Matt, what are you thinking?
Yeah. I don't know if it's sustainable. They're going to win the AL East. They're probably going to have the best record in the AL, right?
Yeah.
I don't see them slowing down that much. But the question is, postseason. Nobody in New York cares about what happens during the regular season.
No.
Let's just be frank about that. Nobody gives a crap about what the Yankees
and
do
they
during
shouldn't.
the regular season.
And they shouldn't.
Yeah, they really shouldn't. This is the team that has 27 titles. They play for titles. They don't play for division championships. So, I think you have to think of them as the favorites coming out of the AL.
At this point.
Having at this point, yeah, but it's like, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see because injuries can take a toll.
Yeah.
This Yankees team is going to slow down at some point, and just how much do they slow down?
Yeah,
that's the question.
That's the thing. I don't think they're going to sustain this rate throughout the whole year. I think it's almost borderline impossible. But they're going to play good baseball for the rest of the year. And even if they play 500 baseball the rest of the year, they still win the division. Like, it's just crazy. I mean, that's how good of a start they've had. And there's nothing wrong with it. However you get to the playoffs, you get to the playoffs. Next question. We know we kind of all agreed Yankees at the top. But there's a three-way battle down there going on for second, maybe the wild card even. Which one of these teams which one of the three teams, I guess if you want to throw Baltimore in there, you can. Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Boston. Who's going to finish second in this division? I know finishing second is not like an accomplishment or anything, but when the circumstances everybody's in, who do we think ends up second place in the AL East? Again, VanDine, Matt.
I'm going to have to say Toronto. I mean, this Toronto team, yes, they didn't make the playoffs last year, but they won 90 games, and they brought back most of the starters, and they added more starters and more players. I think right now it's going to be Toronto because you got Vlad Guerrero, you got George Springer, Lourdes Gurriel, you got Bo Bichette, and then I think Alek Manoah has been great for this team.
Phenomenal.
He didn't pitch that well against the Yankees this week, and he's been phenomenal. And also, I think that right now their offense is just they're in a tough division. That's really what it is. And I think the expanded playoffs are going to help them because they didn't have that last year. But I think Toronto will eventually. Like, they'll get on a hot streak. Yeah, they're taking over 500, but I think they're going to get a whole lot better. Maybe they get a bat or a pitcher at the deadline, but I think Toronto's going to end up being in second place because I think they have a better offense. Boston has just been so inconsistent this year. I mean, they had such a slow start, and it really made them fall way back from in the AL East because this team, they were in second last year. Now they're in fourth place. And
they're in fourth by 2.5 games to Toronto.
Yeah, see, that's where I disagree with you, Mr. VanDine. I disagree. I think this is going to be the Boston Red Sox going second in this division. And there's one reason for this. You mentioned that slow start that they had, and yet they are, 2.5 games back?
Half a game behind the Rays, 2.5 games behind Toronto.
Boston Toronto is loaded. Let's not mistake me saying that. They are loaded. I've talked about this before plenty of times. But I think there's something with this Red Sox team that they have found. That pitching staff is weirdly good. They still have their clutch hitting, and they have a championship manager. Say what you will about Alex Cora and how everything played out, but the second the guy took back over the Red Sox, they started winning again.
Yeah.
I think that in this 162-game grind of a season, I think the Red Sox end up pulling in second right behind the Yankees, with the Blue Jays probably slotting in third. And when I say that, they're going to be like a couple games between each other. It's not like it's going to be like a 10-game lead.
Both of these teams, both of the second and third place in this division currently hold the wild card. Toronto holds it, and then Tampa Bay has the other spot, and then Boston's a half game out. So there you go.
It's going to be a bloodbath the rest of the season, and it's going to be honestly really interesting just to watch.
I think we can all say that maybe three of these teams, maybe four of these teams in this division will all make the playoffs because all these, especially Toronto, Tampa, and Boston, they're all capable of winning 97 games. Let's
Absolutely.
not forget Tampa Bay was in the World Series 2 years ago. Boston was in the ALCS last year.
Yeah.
Yankees have been in the ALCS for about 3 of the last 4 years. I mean, you can't like this division is almost unfair to Baltimore because Baltimore they're just bad and they're playing a lot better than expectations. But regardless, they're like 30 games behind the Yankees, 20 games. It's almost
Yeah.
unfair. So all these teams are capable, except Baltimore, of getting to the playoffs and winning 90 plus games.
Yeah. I think to answer the question about who I think comes in second, I think it'll be Toronto because I think they'll be more aggressive at the deadline than I think Boston will be. And that's really all it comes down to. If no moves are made by either team, I'd like Boston because they seem to have figured it out a little bit. But I think Toronto kind of knows what they have and they know kind of what they want. So I can just see them being a little more aggressive to where Boston's window just feels more natural and like they're not worried about it as much. Or Toronto kind of gives me that sense that they're like, okay, it needs to happen like now, like we want it to happen now, kind of thing. Could be completely wrong. That's just my gut feeling at this point in time. Staying in the AL. Let's go over to the AL Central. Probably the weirdest division in baseball so far this year. In order, we have Minnesota on top of the division, Cleveland, and then the White Sox, and then Detroit and Kansas City down there at the bottom. Again, another one of those divisions where it's kind of a three-man race. Detroit and Kansas City, again, better days ahead. Detroit, phenomenal rookies everywhere, phenomenal farm system. Same thing for Kansas City, Bobby Witt, MJ Melendez. Bunch of talent. But for now, it's this three-man race at the top. Matt, we'll go back to you. How are we feeling about the AL Central?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. It's a weird division. I mean, I disagree. I think it's a two-man race personally. I don't consider the White Sox a threat whatsoever as long as Tony La Russa is their manager. Like, I'm sorry, but they aren't. He needs to go. He needs to retire. He is outdated with the sport, and I think it's ending up costing them. I mean, we saw it.
I think it is too.
We saw it last week. He walks Max Muncy. I'm not Max Muncy. He walks Trey Turner, and then Max Muncy hits a home run.
Ahead of the count.
Yeah.
1-2. Like what are you doing?
What are we doing here? Are you kidding me? And we saw it in the playoffs last year. The White Sox just got obliterated by the Astros. And I think they have talent, but as long as he is at the helm, I don't see this White Sox team doing anything. So I think it kind of comes down to the Twins and the Guardians, to be honest. And while the Twins have had a nice start, I think the Guardians are going to be the team that comes out of this division. For some reason, they can hit. Their pitching has been pretty good. I mean, they just went into LA and took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. That's not easy to do. The Twins got swept by the Dodgers when they played earlier in the season. Yeah. And I'm not saying the Dodgers are the end-all be-all measuring stick, but that's pretty tough to do. And for some reason, the Guardians seem to just be clicking right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they're playing really good baseball.
The only thing I'll say, I feel like things have been a little more perfect for Cleveland so far throughout the year. Obviously, I know they've dealt with their fair share of things like most teams, but Minnesota, Byron Buxton's missed his fair share of time already. Sonny Gray's been on the IL twice. Dylan Bundy's been hurt. Not that that's the, I mean, like I said, outside of Buxton, Gray, and Bundy aren't like huge names. They had what's his name, Paddock, done for the year. So it's just one of those things. I think Cleveland's played a little more perfect and Minnesota's dealt with more, and they're still on top, which is why maybe I'd lean Minnesota. But Cleveland, I think Cleveland will be more consistent. I think it's gonna, if Minnesota can kind of level out their woes, their ups and downs a little bit, I favor them. But Cleveland is just gonna continue to be solid throughout. Really, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think any of these teams should really. I don't think any of them should really be aggressive people at the deadline. I don't they have no hopes in the playoffs and in these teams outside of really winning the division. But that's just my 2 cents. VanDine, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go then on a different route here. I mean, I think right now, the Tigers, they've been very disappointed this year. I mean, look what they did in the offseason. Pay Javier Baez all that money. He's been playing just terrible. I mean, they traded Austin Meadows. I was thinking to myself, well, what are the Rays doing trade Austin Meadows? I don't think he's homered yet this year. It's and then you got the pitching's been terrible. I mean, they were supposed to finally be relevant.
Supposed to be their year.
They're supposed to go back to the and they just been falling back and they've been terrible, and so they've been very disappointing. But going back to who I think is going to win the division, I wouldn't count out the White Sox yet. but I think it's going to be Minnesota. I think Minnesota bringing in Carlos Correa definitely changed this team's momentum in terms of like, are they going to bounce back after this one year last year? They got Gary Sanchez, you got Gio Urshela. Hopefully Byron Buxton comes back and he plays like himself again. I think it's going to be the Twins. I think Cleveland they've been playing pretty good, but I think Minnesota. I think they're just a slight bit better than Cleveland right now. But it's going to be close. But I think it's going to be Minnesota.
I don't hate it. I mean, it's a weird division. I think the White Sox have the most talented team pretty easily, but it just never seems to click with them. Injuries. Yeah, managing issues. Just there's always seems to be something with the White Sox. No matter what it is, there's always just something with the White Sox. Like,
like I said, I don't think Tony La Russa should be the manager. And across the line for me, when he walked Corey Seager with the bases loaded, which made absolutely no sense. Corey Seager he's great, but he's not like that great.
Yeah, he's made some questionable calls. I mean, Matt, let me ask you a question. If Tony La Russa was fired today,
yeah,
where do you have the White Sox finishing?
Probably second, maybe pushing for. I don't think it was a good hire by them.
I don't either. I don't think anybody does.
I wanted to give the guy a chance, right? Like, look, anytime I disagree with a hiring, a move, I'm like, okay, we have to let it see how it plays out. It hasn't worked. Get rid of him. You're wasting this team's talent in their window, at least in my opinion. I think the best thing they did was getting rid of Craig Kimbrell. That's honestly the best thing that this White Sox team has done in the last year.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of where I stand with them.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, that division will kind of just see. Like I said, I don't think anybody's major threats, World Series contenders necessarily. There's a lot of things that can happen. We're still early in the year. We're going to go ahead and move on to the AL West. Another weird division. I think probably the most underwhelming division in baseball, I'd say. Currently, the ranks are Houston, the Angels still, the Rangers, Seattle, and then Oakland. I want to start this off by talking about the Mariners and what is happening in Seattle. Like, they're just terrible. They had this huge offseason, Robbie Way. You had the Winker Suarez deal. But I mean, you got Adam Frazier, Julio Rodriguez coming up, and then you have 29 wins. You have 6 more wins than the A's. What's going on?
It's the curse, man. I'm telling you.
They're the most.
Seattle is cursed. Like, their baseball team is cursed because last year they almost made the playoffs. This year everyone was like, oh, they're going to finally do it, and look what happened. But honestly, this division has been pathetic, if we're going to not be frank with words here. It's just been pathetic because the A's are the A's. The Mariners suck. The Rangers have been arguably the most disappointing team because look at all the money
they struggled a lot at the beginning. They've been okay of late.
They started playing a little bit better. You know, the Angels had that massive losing streak. They fired Joe Madden. They started playing a little better, but they're still under 500. This is the Astros division to lose at this point. They're not going to lose because what the Astros have been doing has been honestly incredible.
Yeah,
so that's really all I have to say about this division. If we're being honest, because it's Houston or nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking a look at things here now. Against teams with a 500 or better record, the Angels are 13-23. The Rangers are 13-19. The Mariners are 16-26. The A's are 9-30. And because all of those teams suck, the Astros are 8-7 because they don't play anybody over 500. But yeah, VanDine, what are your thoughts about this division, man?
I think right now, Seattle. I think they're the most disappointing team in this division this year because, like Matt said, they went over 90 games last year and they acquired Winker, Suarez. They got some good pitching, and Julio Rodriguez, and they're falling way back out of that division. Put this into context. The last time they were in the playoffs, I was only a few months old. Ichiro Suzuki was a rookie. They haven't been there since. Yeah. That's 2001. They haven't been there since. And then for the Angels, I mean, what happened to them? I mean, they have the pieces every year. They got Mike Trout, who's arguably the best player in baseball. Shohei Ohtani, who might be like the next Babe Ruth when it's all said and done. And then Anthony Rendon, and then they just can't catch a break right now. And I think they're going to be one of the most disappointing teams in baseball too, because the injury bug and all these terrible contracts, like the Rendon one now, like that hasn't worked out. I mean, Rendon has not played a full season yet with the Angels, and he's already done for the year.
Yeah. Speaking about the Angels and everything, talking about those terrible contracts, Logan ran a fantastic article about that, so go check that out on the website, Twitter as well. But still, staying in the division, I don't really think. I think I know what the answer here is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Outside, we all know Houston's going to win the division. Do any of those teams outside of Houston have a shot at making the wild card at all, in any capacity whatsoever? Would you be surprised if any of these three teams made it?
I think Texas has the best shot, in my opinion, because I think if Texas puts everything together, I think they can maybe compete for something. But the thing is, they just haven't put it all together yet. I mean, they went out and spent all that money, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, like, but they haven't done anything. They didn't really address the rotation.
That's
They
the
didn't really
issue.
address the bullpen.
John Gray was their big
Yeah, and John
move.
Gray's all right, but he's not a number one.
Nah.
So I think Texas, if to answer your question, but I don't see any of those teams. There's going to be, I think one team makes it out of that division to the playoffs, and that's it.
Yeah, VanDine.
Yeah, I think only one team is going to make it out of that division. But if I have to make a guess, I'm going to have to say the Rangers too, because I think the Rangers right now, I mean, I hated the whole Corey Seager stuff. He can get way too much money. Marcus Semien hasn't been playing that good, but I think they have a better offense. And like Matt said, like their pitching has just been frankly terrible. And I'm looking at the division right now. I mean, they're only a game and a half behind the Angels, so it's not a total. So they could possibly make some noise. I mean, they're 4 games under 500. I mean, this team started 2-11 to begin the year. So if anything, they're improving a lot so far in this month of June, because this team lost a whole lot of games last year. I mean, if you're looking at the record, I mean, last year they lost 102 games, and right now they've only lost 35. They're at 31 wins. So I think right now, I think I have to pick. I think it's going to be the Rangers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the division's a little bit of a lost cause. The Angels, you always have some hope for the Angels, but it just never seems to work out. So I think it has to be the Rangers at this point. They're too good not to get hot eventually. I feel like not that maybe it'll be enough, but then they'll be playing better baseball like they have of late for the most part. Now we're gonna move over to the NL a little bit. Start in the NL East again. Current standings: Mets in first, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and then again Miami and Washington. Matt, start us off with this division.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you have to look at the Mets as the front runner, I guess, for it. I mean, they've been doing pretty well without Scherzer, without DeGrom. But I've talked about this so many times. I do not trust this Mets team. I don't. When you are relying on two pitchers like that who are consistently injured, it's just not a good idea. Maybe they stay healthy for those few months in September, October, and they get the Mets a World Series, for all we know. But to me, it's just, I don't know. The Braves have been there, done that. The Phillies are on a roll right now. Both the Braves and the Phillies have been playing incredibly well the last 10 to 15
Atlanta's
games.
8-2 in their last 10, and Philadelphia's 7-3.
Yeah, I mean, the Marlins aren't a slouch in this division. They're not great, but they're not awful. The Nationals are just bad. But the Nationals did beat the Brewers 3 or 4 a week ago. So the Nationals can beat you. Juan Soto can go off for a couple game stretch, but I think this has to be between the Braves, Mets, and Phillies at this point, because there's no one else really, if we're being honest here.
Yeah, VanDine, what do you think?
Okay, so here's where I wanted to disagree with Matt here. I mean, I never trust the Mets because I'm a huge fan, and they disappointed me my whole life. Last year, they were fifth for over 100 days. They blew it in the second half, and they finished in 4th place. But this team is completely different. I mean, they got a veteran manager. They got who does not mess around. They got an owner who did not mess around in the offseason, acquiring Starling Marte, Eduardo Escobar, and Marcana, Max Scherzer, who was on his way back, and making sure to fix the bullpen and getting a solid lineup for this team. Right now, the Mets are over 10.5 games ahead, over 6.5 games ahead of the Braves, I believe, right now, and I think the Mets are the team to beat here. And the Braves, they've been doing well. They were on a 14-game winning streak. But let me remind you, their 14-game winning streak, they were beating teams like they beat the Phillies, the Marlins, the D-backs, Rockies, A's, Pirates, Nationals, and then the Cubs. And then the Cubs for once in this series. All those teams have losing records and who are way back in who are falling back in the division. And they are starting a series tonight against the Giants. The Braves, they're supposed to be good. I mean, they got a great offense, but I think they were just playing garbage teams during that 14-game winning streak. And I just think that right now, it's the Mets winning that division.
I can't really disagree. I mean, I know the thing that kind of makes me a little question some things. It's kind of what Matt said with DeGrom and Scherzer. And obviously, they've been here so far without them. I think that we talked about, I don't know if it was on the show, Matt, if we were just talking, but I think there's a real possibility that the Mets just played extremely safe with DeGrom and Scherzer and literally just don't let them pitch until they need them to pitch.
They shouldn't.
Like don't
They're
even if
it's
working. It's working.
Yeah, like until they're not in the playoff picture, I don't know if I'd pitch them because you need them healthy in the postseason. I don't care if they don't pitch until August, September. Like if you don't need them, why would you risk it? Yeah, so I think that they could be really cautious with that. I think this Mets team 100% makes the playoffs. I don't think they'd ever risk that. I could see them kind of playing with the division a little bit and trying to, like I said, rest those guys. I don't think it'll happen. I think the Mets will win the division. But how they play the rest of the season, because how important DeGrom and Scherzer are, is going to be very interesting. I would take the super cautious approach. Maybe they don't, but that's kind of how I would play it, and that's kind of how I see this division going out. But before we move on about the divisions, okay, we know the Mets will make the playoffs for the most part. Who else, how many teams from this division will make the playoffs, do we think?
I think just two. I think it's going to be the Mets, and either it's going to come down to the Braves or the Phillies. I mean, the Phillies, they've been rolling, but I'm just going to say the Braves are going to make the playoffs over the Phillies. I think the Phillies, when they were on that skid in late May, that really derailed their season, in my opinion. But yeah, they're starting to win now. But I think the Braves, with that 14-game winning streak, really changed momentum in that division. So I think it's going to be the Mets and the Braves.
Matt?
I'm going to say maximum 2, minimum the 1. Mm-hmm. Because the NL is just loaded. I mean, we'll talk about it in a few minutes here, but the NL West has legitimately 3 teams that can win going to the playoffs. The Central has 2. So it's really going to come down to, do you trust the Braves? Do you trust the Giants? Do you trust the Braves or the Phillies? Do you trust the Cardinals? Or the Brewers? So I think it could be 2, but I might lean 1. I don't know if these teams in the NL East are as strong as the other ones in the NL. I think the Mets are the best team in the NL East, and I think they'll make it, but I don't know about the other ones.
The reason, I think you're probably
maybe the Braves, but I don't know.
I think you're probably, because I was gonna say that I think somebody, who Atlanta and Philadelphia, whoever beats up on Miami and Washington more, can really get in. But then, I mean, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, and then whoever doesn't win the NL Central. I don't know. Maybe only 1, max 2. It'll be a little interesting, but it is what it is, that division. I think it's the Mets division to lose. In Atlanta or Philly, we saw them get hot. They're going to need to do it again. I think if either of them want a chance at a realistic to be in the playoff hunt, I think one of them is going to need to go on another run. We'll see what happens, but it's just the NL is loaded, like Matt just said. Yeah. Before we get into the absolute loaded division, we'll talk about the not so loaded NL Central for a little bit. Currently, the Brewers and Cardinals are tied. First place, 38-30. That's really only the 2 teams worth talking about in this division. The rest of the division is terrible.
I think the Reds are going to win the division.
I knew that was coming.
Man, you had to do that to Logan.
I knew it was coming.
I had to give him some false hope.
It's okay. I respect it. We won't be the worst team when all's said and done, but we have the 3rd best run differential in the division. I'll say that. We're not the worst. But in general,
you've gone 3-7 in your last 10 games.
Yeah.
But anyways,
hey, that's better than the Pirates and Cubs. Just saying.
Nobody needs to talk about the Reds on this show, though.
No, the Reds, we're talking about the Brewers and the Cardinals here.
I just did it. I did it so we could get a little bit of Red stuff.
Brewers and Cardinals. Who's winning the division?
I think the Cardinals are going to win the division. I don't trust the Brewers.
Me neither.
I really don't.
Never have, never will.
I just they have a good rotation, but that's about it. Their lineup's okay. I trust the Cardinals. And to be honest, if you were an opposing team going into Busch Stadium or going into what is the Brewer? I don't remember what the Brewers stadium.
Family,
Family, yeah,
something.
I thought it was Miller Park.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah, they changed it.
Family something.
I didn't even know that.
Family something.
American Family Field.
American Family Field.
I'm not afraid to go into American Family Field and win a game.
You're not intimidated by that name?
No. I've been to that park, and it's a beautiful park. That's nothing. They have the sausage races. They have the dude sliding down the slide. Like, it's an awesome experience, and I think everybody should go to that park at some point. But like, Busch Stadium just has a different vibe to it when the Cardinals are good, especially.
It does.
And I think this Cardinals team is really good, and I think they've started clicking a little bit.
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt's on a tear. Arenado's on a tear. Like, I trust the Cardinals more than I trust the Brewers.
Yeah, I want to say something about this Cardinals team, and it really pains me as a Reds fan, but I absolutely love the way this Cardinals team is built. You have all your veterans, and you have your young guys, Juan Yepes, Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, just playing fantastic baseball. And it's just built so perfectly. It's a perfect combination of savvy vets with some up-and-coming young stars. It's just built so good. It's so impressive what they've done. I'm pretty confident that they'll win the division. I've never been a Brewers guy. I know Peralta and Woodruff are hurt, but let's not act like they're pitching that great before they were hurt. Last year was their year. The Brewers, last year was their only hope, in my opinion. Their offense isn't good. Their pitching, what they did last year, is not sustainable.
I think the Brewers' best chance at anything, sorry to cut you off, Logan, was 2017, 2018?
Yeah, their window's done closed.
That was their best chance because they had Game 7 in their home stadium. They took an early lead on Walker Buehler, and they lost. Like, I honestly, if the Brewers go to that World Series, I think they could have beaten the Red Sox. I really
agree.
do.
I think Milwaukee, unless they somehow sell their soul for another big-time bat, I don't see them doing much in the next couple of years. The pitching rotation is going to be okay. They sold out on Yelich. He gave him a couple good years, and sadly, injuries happen, and he hasn't been the same. And they don't have anybody else offensively that's going to be consistent. I mean, like I said, if they go out there and get a major bat somehow, some way, maybe we'll have this discussion again. But I just don't see them doing that.
It's the Cardinals division. I know they're tied, but it's the Cardinals division.
Yeah, VanDine, what do you think, my man?
I'm gonna agree with Matt here. I think it's the Cardinals division too. I think they got the better offense, and they brought back Albert Pujols, and he's been playing. He's been doing
fun little story.
Chance to play. It's a cool little story. I think the Brewers right now. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, they just DFA'd Lorenzo Cain, and he's been a huge disappointment. I mean, Yelich, ever since his MVP season in 2018, 2019, when he got hurt, like, he's been not the same player.
Nope,
they gave him all that money. And then, Woodruff instead of being Corbin Burns, he's been great, but like, you can't rely on your pitchers to win your ball game.
Yeah.
You can't score any runs. I mean, this team, I believe, like, they hit home runs, but they just can't. They just don't drive in runs when it matters. And Andrew McCutchen, I think he's been very disappointing for the Brewers because he was brought in to like hit home runs and to like be a big veteran presence in that lineup. He's been that good, and I think right now, like Matt said, this is the Cardinals' division to lose because I think Paul Goldschmidt right now, he has to be considered to be one of the MVP frontrunners right now because he's been just tearing it up.
Yeah, I know this stat isn't say all end all, but I do like to break it up. Run differential, I think that's goes a long way to show how good you are. The Brewers' run differential is plus 16. That's not very good for a first place ball club. The Cardinals, however, second place, plus 61. It just seems more sustainable for them.
Yeah, run differential isn't everything, but it does mean something.
It's a little,
in the long game.
Yeah, so it's just, and again, when the record against teams that are above 500, the Brewers are 13-18. That is not very good.
Yeah, it's not gonna get you done.
Granted, the Cardinals
is
only 15-18, so like. Again, not very good. But I think, like I said for the last division, the Cardinals and the Brewers, whoever wins the division, will win the division because they beat up on the Pirates, they beat up on the Cubs, and the Reds. If one of those three teams just owns the Brewers or Cardinals down the stretch, it's over for the other one. So it's just those three teams will play a very big factor in how this division plays because they're all terrible. Moving on. One of the most fun divisions in baseball. Matt's Dodgers certainly at the top, first place right now. Padres in second, Giants in third, the Diamondbacks in fourth. Credit to the Diamondbacks, and then the Rockies down there. Rockies have been beat up a little bit. Chris Bryant hasn't done anything; he's been hurt, but they're down there.
What a terrible contract! What a terrible contract that was.
Okay, we'll talk. That's a good idea. I want to do a segment where we talk about. We'll save it for another episode where we talk about the worst contracts that have been handed out because this offseason there were plenty of them.
There were a lot.
We'll table it. We'll table it for now. But VanDine, you were talking, so why don't you start us off with this division a little bit?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to say the Dodgers. I mean, Mookie Betts going down with that ribs injury. That definitely hurts, but I think it's going to be the Dodgers. I think the Padres right now. Didn't Manny Machado get hurt yesterday against the Rockies, and they just got swept? They don't never play well in Coors Field, which I don't know why. Because but that's a different story for a different time. But I think it's going to be the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers, even though they lost 2 out of 3 to Cleveland, I think they're a better team, and they always have a shot every year to get to the World Series. And I think they're going to be fine with that Mookie Betts. They still have Cody Bellinger. They have Freddie Freeman. They have Max Muncy. Hopefully Walker Buehler turns it around. Hopefully Clayton Kershaw stays healthy. Julio Urias pitches well as he had it. But I think it's going to be the Dodgers division to lose. It's going to be a very tight race, but we saw this last year with the Padres. They got off to a very fast start, and they just
they choked it so bad last year.
We'll see. So I wouldn't count out the Padres, but the Padres, their season can turn up and down in any stretch. I think the Dodgers, in my opinion, they'll win the division.
Man, I'll let you go last, so I'll talk now. I think it has to be the Dodgers, just because the Dodgers, I see them being more aggressive. I know they're going through a lot right now. They are. And these next couple weeks, without some of these guys, maybe even the next month, Bueller's down. You got Heaney coming back soon. You got a couple things.
He came back yesterday, yeah.
Yeah. In general, you got a lot to deal with over there. And how they deal with them over the next few weeks will kind of give us a better feel for this division. I just trust the Dodgers more than anybody in this division, and I think they'll be more aggressive at the deadline again than some of these teams. It's just, I think things have gone less perfect for them throughout the year than it has for some of the other teams in the division. They've already dealt with some of that adversity, and they're still 15 games over 500. So I just think it's one of those things when it's all said and done, it's hard for me not to see the Dodgers at the top of this division. Take it away, Matt.
So I've listened. I've heard your guys' reasoning here. I'm going to actually go a little bit of a different route.
You want to say the Giants?
This is not the Dodgers division because of injuries. Let me be clear with this. A healthy Dodgers team wins this division easily.
Another one of those teams that doesn't need to worry about now. Just get to the playoffs and whatever.
Yeah,
that'll be fine.
Basically. This, I think, because Walker Buehler is out for 6 to 8 weeks, but then he said it could be 10 to 12 weeks. I don't know he's going to pitch again, but he's out for a while, right? Andrew Heaney came back. He did look pretty good, and he has pitched pretty good this season.
Yeah.
But I'm not relying on Andrew Heaney as a fan.
What about Tyler Anderson?
Tyler Anderson and Tony Gonsolin. We need to talk. The baseball community needs to talk about Tony Gonsolin.
I've loved that man for so long.
This man is a beast, and he has been dominating the baseball world this year, and it is not being talked about. The Catman is loose, and he is just dominating everything. Honestly,
he's good.
They have been carrying this team. Kershaw just came back, and he's pitched pretty well. He's been pretty good so far. The problem with this Dodgers team has been the hitting, which is weird to think about when you have a lineup with Trey Turner, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, and the list goes on and on. Runners in scoring position has been their problem. In the series where they got swept by the Giants a week ago, they were 2 for 30 or something like that. It was garbage.
Yeah, it was.
Look, the Dodgers will make the playoffs. I don't know if they will win the division, though. I think we are going to see a back-to-back division champ in this one. I think the best team I think the best team in this division, at least right now, is the San Francisco Giants. I really do.
Are you serious right now? The Giants?
I am serious right now. Yes,
Yeah,
the San Francisco
they
Giants.
just swept the Dodgers, but I just don't see. I just saw that year as like a fluke year for the Giants. I mean,
I did too.
they got a bunch of veteran pieces.
Yet they're only 3 games out of the division right now.
I just don't see the Giants winning the division or even making the playoffs this year.
I don't look. I don't trust the
Dodgers
Padres.
got a whole lot better.
I don't trust the Padres. Like as a fan, like look, I don't trust the Padres. The Padres talk a big game every single year. Show me something, and then we can believe in you. I'm sorry, but every single year.
What is it about the Giants you're not buying, VanDine? You're a little emotional over there. What's going on? Let us hear it.
Yeah, I want to know too because it pains me to say this. It pains me to say this, but I think the Giants might be the best team in the division.
I just don't see the Giants.
At least right now.
Just right now, like I just don't see the Giants at all making the playoffs because based on the fact that like I just don't buy like what they have on the team. I mean, yeah, they got Jock Peterson there. I mean, and they got Austin Slater and Brandon Crawford and Brandon Pell. I just don't think that they have a team right there that's going to that. I think they're eventually they're just going to falter at some point. I just don't think the team that they have right now is good enough to compete with the Dodgers and then get to October. Because this team, they lost in 5 games last year to the Dodgers, and they lost Game 5 in San Francisco. So the Giants, they have a chance. This is not the same 107-win team. Let me remind you, I mean, Kevin Gausman, he's no longer there. Buster Posey, he retired. I mean, yeah, they got Jock Peterson, but I'm just not buying what the Giants have on their team. I think the Dodgers, like, you tell me right now with a team with Trey Turner, Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, and once Mookie Betts comes back, that team is not better than the Giants. I mean,
I think where I'm coming from is because I don't know when Mookie Betts is coming back. I don't know when Walker.
Similar to what I said about the Mets being really careful, he's viewing the Dodgers kind of taking that same.
Because look, if you let's quickly, I want to break down the Dodgers rotation without Walker Buehler. You have a injury-prone Clayton Kershaw. While he has played really well this season, at any minute he could go back on the IR, right? Andrew Heaney. Are we really trusting Andrew Heaney? No. Nobody's trusting Andrew Heaney with anything. Tyler Anderson and Tony Gonsolin. They have been dominating, but are they going to keep this up the entire season? And then you have Julio Urias, who has been really good. His record doesn't reflect it, and that's why records don't always mean anything. But if he's all you have on a consistent basis, going down for the next 8 to 10 weeks, let's say, the Dodgers need to make a move. They need to get something.
And we'll talk about making moves, but no Matt knows where I'm going to go with this. But I think there's a team that's really going to impact these two people. I think that there is a very highly likelihood one of these two teams makes a trade with the Cincinnati Reds, maybe even both of them. I think there's a good chance that Luis Castillo or Tyler Mahle will be in the West Coast. The Dodgers, there's that rumor every year with Luis Castillo being out there. Same thing with the Giants. Tyler Mahle from California, near San Francisco. Who cares? California, LA, same thing. Not that they're going to be major tipping points for one of these teams, but if one team gets, buys heavy, one team doesn't, that's going to impact a lot of things. And I think that the Dodgers think they're okay more, but they are hurt. So maybe they want to add somebody to get through this stretch. Maybe the Giants are looking at it as like, okay, let's go add something else. Maybe it's not the Reds. Maybe they go add whoever else is out there. The A's traded Montas or, even Blackburn on the A's. Just whoever is going to be more aggressive at the deadline. Even the Padres. We didn't even touch on the Padres all that much. The deadline's going to impact this division so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because it always does.
Same thing with last year. And let's also not forget that Dustin May should be coming back in the next.
I haven't even thought about that, to be honest. I didn't even know that.
So if he comes back and he is still the same pitcher as he was, I will take back what I said about the Giants. I just, at this current time, I do not trust this Dodgers starting rotation or the bullpen, if we're being frank. Craig Kimbrell has been an absolute disaster.
And I think... go, Logan. Go.
Yeah, I just think that, I'm just going to say this. I think the White Sox definitely won that Pollock and Pollock and Kimbrell
we
trade.
miss Pollock.
That's all I really wanted to say.
We miss him. To be honest, I was not a huge fan of the move. It kind of came out of nowhere. I would have rather retained Kenley Jansen and kept AJ Pollock.
I think,
but, I'm not Andrew Freeman, so I can't make that move.
It's weird, but I feel like the Dodgers' holes are more obvious than the Giants. And when you kind of look at the team and you're like, what would you really add? Not that that's like, maybe it's just because they're just worse at everything. Nothing is like apparent. It's a big thing. The Dodgers, but that also could be looked as an advantage for the Dodgers because, okay, we need this. Let's go get it. To where you're the Giants, you're like, okay, we're okay here. We're okay here. We're even kind of okay here. So what do you really do? But like I said, the trade deadline and all this stuff will affect everything. We will have an episode talking about the trade deadline, obviously. But for now, before we get out of here, who is the best team in the American League? And who's the best team in the National League? Whoever it is, however you want to go about it, just who it is, a little bit of why, nothing too much. Just before we get out of here, we'll start with you, Logan. Best NL team and best AL team. Who you got?
Is this a trick question? Best team in the American League is the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the best team in the American League for quite a while this year because just where they are in the standings, their record, their performance. The best team in the American League is the Yankees, and no bias at all. The best team in the National League right now, it's the New York Mets. I mean, look what they're doing without their best two starting pitchers in baseball. They're 20 games over 500. They got a huge lead in the NL East. Pete Alonso's putting up MVP type numbers. He leads the league in RBIs. The best team in the National League is the New York Mets.
I agree with both of those statements. And I got nothing else to put it. Matt, do you disagree with any? Matt, I know you think the Yankees are the best, but do you think the Mets aren't the best team in the NL currently?
Are we viewing this
currently for the next 3 weeks or so till our next weekly episode? Are the Mets going to be the best team in baseball or in the NL?
I mean, record-wise, you kind of have to say yes, I guess. But
who's in that conversation then? Who's next? Like, who are you like? I don't know if they're really better than.
I know I just trashed them, but it's the Dodgers. Like the best team in the National League is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
You just trashed them.
Okay, but that's because they have injury. If I'm thinking September,
so do the
October.
Mets.
Okay, I'm not trusting Scherzer and DeGrom, dude. I'm sorry.
Which is fair.
Think of it from someone who Max Scherzer literally did not pitch an elimination game because he said he had a dead arm from pitching one extra inning.
That's fair. That's fair. It is what it is.
I think that's what it comes down to with me. Right now, it is the New York Mets. In 4 months from now, it will be the Los Angeles Dodgers assuming they stay healthy and get their players back.
Yeah. But
and out in the American League, it's the Yankees. But when all said and done, I don't think the Yankees are going to the World Series.
And we'll get there when we get there. We got a long season ahead of us. Like I said, first episode of many coming your guys' way. That's going to wrap up, our very first episode of Walk Off Wednesdays here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys on the TWSN YouTube channel again soon.